The topic we're going to talk about today is ecological succession.
So what is succession? Succession is the change in an ecosystem over time.
So in this case, we have the start of succession, and at the other end of the model, we have the end of succession. These things listed in the model are different stages of the ecosystem. So exposed rocks to lichen to annuals to perennials to shrubs to one sets of trees to a second set of trees. So what's growing in this same location of this ecosystem has changed over time. To recap, succession is the change in the plant life of an ecosystem over time. There are two types of succession. The first type is primary succession. Primary succession starts in a situation where there is exposed rock. There is no dirt. The second type is called secondary succession. In secondary succession, there was some sort of event that destroyed what was living there, but there remains to be dirt and soil in that. Each of these types of succession closer. Primary succession always starts with bare rock. This means that there is no dirt or soil. This might be after like a volcanic eruption. You have the bare rock, and then next comes lichens or mosses. Then comes annual plants. Annual plants are plants that you would need to plant every year. Then come perennials. Perennials come up year after year. Then comes many shrubs, and finally some sort of trees. First things to arrive in an ecosystem are called the pioneer species. The end result, the final piece of succession, is called the climax community. Primary succession is going to take hundreds of years to happen because each of the different plant stages are building soil and creating soil. And so it can take up to 500 years for primary succession to happen. Secondary succession starts with some sort of ecological disturbance. An ecological disturbance is some sort of event that's going to wipe out things that are living in the ecosystem. In this case, we're talking about a fire. After that ecological disturbance, there's a series of steps where each step has a different set of plants that are growing in that ecosystem. It's like in primary succession, the end result is the climax community, and the pioneer species are the first species that come in and start growing after the ecological disturbance. Because the plants and other things growing there don't have to create soil, secondary succession is much faster than primary succession. It can take as little as 150 years to reach the climax community.
So just reviewing a little bit of the vocabulary that we've been over. Pioneer species is the first plants to arrive in the ecosystem. The climax community is the best group of plants of the ecosystem, so no more change will happen. Remember, this is our end point. And an ecological disturbance is an event that affects the ecological balance of the ecosystem, causing the change to that ecosystem. So remember that this occurs to start off any secondary succession model. So here we have two different models of succession. One of these is primary succession, and one of these is secondary succession. You're going to want to look underneath the pictures that are explaining what's going on to help you figure out which model is which. So that wraps up our little set of notes on ecological succession. Hopefully at this point you're able to tell the difference between primary succession and secondary succession.